So yeah, moving on, there's this new wearable AI device. I mean, there's been a lot of them in the market in the past, and a lot of them gained a lot of hype and just dropped off. But this is something very interesting. Like I've worked on this tech before, like a BCI. So this is like a sticker that you put on your forehead, or you can wear it as a locket. So their first release, what they've done is you can wear it and it listens to your audio and the audio around you, and it's like an assistant. It helps you out if someone's talking in, let's say, French, then it recognizes that and it translates it for you. So what they do is they listen to it, the device listens to it, and on the app you get like an interface, and the AI just tells you what's going around. Like if someone asks you a question, the AI will, search it up, look it up, and give you results for that. I think if we look at the video, maybe that's it. I'll just start the video, I guess.
Ivan Pavlov. Ring a bell? Unconditioned stimulus. Anyone? Who can tell me what the conditioned stimulus is?
Merci. Tu es mignon aussi.
Nicholas. Care to elaborate?
The conditioned stimulus was the ringing of the bell, which made the dog salivate even in the absence of food.
Nice, dude.
Cool. Can you make a deck?
We're gonna be here for a while, guys. Perfect timing. We're about to call Bill.
Actually, I already closed the deal this morning.
Really?
I know you had a long flight, so I'll make this fast.
Grandma! Grandma! Grandma, we're here!
Oh, my darlings. You guys want some spaghetti?
Yes!
There's actually a great spot down the street if you want to check it out. I can call a car.
I got it already.
So this is a company from San Francisco, I guess. It's like a really tight-knit small company that's been doing this. I mean, there are a lot of big companies doing it too. There's Plot AI, there's your Google
Just
Pixel
to understand the technology, does it answer back? I understand that it's a audible device that hears your audio, transcribes it, but does it answer back? Because I didn't see that in the video. Did
No,
it?
it doesn't answer you back. It answers you back from an app.
Oh, okay. So I
So,
think, see, I know this hardware space like reasonably well. There have been a lot of attempts in this space to have an additional device in a different form factor. We're dealing with what has happened since 2007, since the advent of iPhone, is that there's only one form factor, which is the smartphone. And people have been trying to come up with another form factor which goes as, let's say, a complement to this device. And the only thing that people have done, or before, so it was slightly before and after, was like the tablet. There's been no other form factor wherein people are willing to wear on their body. And these attempts of by lots of different companies, probably I can name probably at the top of my head, like probably about 10 of them who all have come up with some very niche use cases. But if you can do something with your phone, the chances of you carrying all this and that becoming a cultural phenomenon, what they're trying to do is essentially trying to change consumer behavior in the masses and hoping that it will catch on. And I think that's a very hard thing to do in the hardware. So it's almost impossible. I think this is almost an impossible device. Even if you give it for free, people won't wear it. Forget about selling it at $50 a year. I think the only way you can make this work is like pay money to make people wear this. And also, yeah, eventually, if you do that, it still doesn't make the sense wherein within 7 years. So if you come up with any new product within 7 years, you have to break even. Because what that means, if you have to put in, let's say, 100 million or 500 million, you have to break even within 7 years Otherwise, it doesn't make any viable sense for any business to operate as a business. So given all that, and hardware is all about supply chain optimization. You have to figure out how you optimize supply chain. And the greatest proof for this is this Indian company uh, whose founder is one of the hosts of Shark Tank. I forget his name. Aman Gupta, is he? I think his name is Aman Gupta, who made this the headphone. I don't know the name of the company.
Boat, perhaps.
Boat, yeah. So the way that grew, there is no innovation in. Is it Boat? BOAT?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So there is no innovation in Boat. The trajectory of that company is like they did like 1 million in the first year, second million, the second year they did 10, next year they did 100. So it just moved in an exponential pace, even though there is no innovation in terms of technology, there's no innovation in terms of, let's say, user interface, but they had a brand and they knew how to go after a market, which was sort of segregated and unorganized. And usually, and I think doing that in India is it's a different ball game than doing it in the US, wherein you have to come up with something new and make that viable. Because Meta, if you think about it, in 2021, 22, they spent 10 to $20 billion a year making the metaverse a reality. $10 billion every year, or 10 or $20 billion every year to make that work, wherein they had the glasses and the whole metaverse, and it failed. So money is not the reason why hardware fails. The money, I mean, it has to be the consumer has to take that in, and I don't think you can predict all this. This is destined to fail. Like if I have to just look at it from my point of view, there's no alternative universe in which this succeeds. Even if you give it out for free, forget about making money. Because what you can you can take the device and you can take your mobile phone and still record the entire conversation. So unless you answer back, that was one marginal benefit. If it could answer back with high amount of fidelity in terms of voice, and people able to recognize the voice that is coming out of the device, then it's a huge. I think there is a use case for something like that. But if without the device answering back, I mean, there is no use case.
I think
That's the same reason. The way to think about these kinds of emergent technologies is like, think of why neural networks failed in the 90s. There just wasn't enough data to train on. And there just wasn't enough data because the form factor by which people consume data and input their data just wasn't there. The computers had not taken off. The personal computer revolution only took off in the 90s. If you think of Windows, so the operating system which made personal computers what it is, came out in 95, which was the biggest, let's say, operating system release. So, because Windows didn't happen, the AI couldn't take over because nobody's inputting so much data. Now, because of personal computer revolution and the internet revolution in the late 90s, personal computer revolution enabled the internet revolution, and the internet revolution enabled, let's say, the smartphone revolution. So we have to figure out what waves we are on. Right now, we are all on the AI revolution. We still don't know who's going to make all the money. Attention is all you need. Money is all. Pay attention to who's making all the money, and only one company is making all the money, which is NVIDIA. Nobody else is making any money in AI. Everybody is a loss maker. So still early days. This feels like 1999 in terms of, let's say, internet. Analogy to internet, this seems like 1999. Nobody really knows what's real or what's not real. But anyway, this is a great attempt, and if they can do what Steve Jobs did, they probably will succeed, but probably they will not.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
there have been a lot of companies that try to do it. I don't know the name. There was this AI company that also made a wearable AI. So it's like a brioche or something that you wear on your shirt, and that would do similarly the same thing what they're attempting to do. But what stands out for this company is that uh, they're saying that they're gonna in the next release they're gonna enable BCI. So
What is PCI?
BCI, brain computer interface. Okay, so people who
Oh,
don't know,
brain computer interface. Okay, good.
so what BCI is, so there's brain waves, all right. Your brain emits a lot of waves, and there is a way to, kind of capture that. So usually how it's done is there are multiple electrodes all over your head. Like they place electrodes over your head. There's like a direct contact between your scalp and the electrode, and the device sort of picks up your EEG. I guess you guys know what EEG is. So using that, so whenever you do an action, let's say you do a jaw clench or eye blink, the readings in the EEG changes. So using that, you can. A lot of people do that, like tracking EEG. I've worked on that, like a couple of years back. So you can, sort of figure out how what the person is doing just using their EEG. So in advancements to that, this company wants to, read your thoughts basically. So reading EEG is like that's like the basic thing. You blink your eye, there's a change in your brain wave. You clench your turn your head around, there's a change in your EEG. So using that, uh, this company wants to basically read what you're thinking. I don't know how far that's true. I mean, there have been attempts to, read your brain waves and, do all sorts of stuff. There's also a guy on YouTube. He used EG to, control games like GTA Vice City. Like, you can just it's an open source GitHub program. You can just check it out. You can still do it, but yeah, that's about it.
On this topic, I would want to hear all of your point of view because I think I know what I'm going to think about this, but I think my point is irrelevant. I want to hear what you will think about it because you guys are the new consumers who will decide this. Not that I won't, but I think I'd love to hear what you guys think of a device like this.
So I have a couple of points. So, well, it's a fascinating device, nevertheless. But what we need to understand is how much are users willing to share their personal, with respect to the different impulses in the body or with respect to different signals. First of all, we need to see the wearable industry is a very difficult industry to, make profit. Of course, it's all about margins and scales. And obviously, after 2007, after the launch of the iPhone, the next big, everyone wanted that third device, which would basically, cater towards the mass industry and make a good source of revenue for large tech companies, which, dwell in hardware. There's the smartphone and there is the personal computer. Then, there has been ventures in iPad and other devices. I would say post Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple, when Tim Cook came into that place, the device that he worked upon was the Apple Watch, which was obviously that one big invention which he worked upon, which his team developed and designed. So, post that, there have been incremental updates and incremental changes, but fundamentally, what the watch does is it is a device which people wear. They take it with them everywhere. It's supposed to not cause any side effects to the health, but at the same time collect useful data and provide emergency if let's say your elders wear it and they slip, you would probably get a notification. Or if you're in a loud environment and it's not good for your health, it'll give you a warning, decibels are very high. Such things are okay, but there comes a fine line where people are okay with sharing certain types of signals information. Maybe they're not fine, but again, software is a field where distribution is very easy, it's very affordable, it's simple to make software adoption in the large scale. But in hardware, it's very tough, as we just spoke, to make adoption a massive thing. Even if, let's say, we pay someone to use this device, they would probably fancy it for a few weeks, but then 2 3 weeks down the lane, it may not be the essential product that they're going to live by, right? So while it could have uses in the medical industry, perhaps maybe few other industries, but for an average Joe, I believe the smartphone and the personal computer would still be the go-to device to use, only because the necessity of such a device may be limited to very few instances. So that's my take. And of course, making profit in the hardware sector, accepting probably NVIDIA chips, is questionable because today the whole world is on the AI race and they want to make sure that, they can, have chips that are the size of a small wafer but can do supercomputing process, and everybody is on a race to have the most compute process and resource to run the company. But apart from that, the hardware industry is quite tricky. Companies like Intel is facing issues with their budget, and they're having big slash cuts on their revenue, and probably Apple surviving only because there are loyal fans, and at the same time they produce good quality devices. But yes, the hardware semiconductor industry profit margins are tight. So let's see
I
how
think
this device does.
I think this is a phenomenal take. The way you summarize the entire thing, the industry, the margin problem, the hardware issue. Yeah, this is a phenomenal take. I mean, that's the more educated take, but I want to hear if there is any other takes which is like sort of in on the margins, not accepted by the status quo, but might become the next revolution. Because all the revolutions are from not status quo points of view. So anybody else wants to chime in? Abhisha or Nikhil?
So when I heard, I don't have a different point of view. I'm welcome to all the new technologies that are emerging, and I'm really excited about it. The when I saw the video about OMI, I immediately thought about another project. It was from a company called Rabbit R1, and its claims were very similar to what OMI suggested, or OMI is giving the confidence about. So it was marketed as this general assistant, and it could do anything from ordering you food or translating dynamically. It was just like a personal assistant, and it was crowdfunded. So the people who were really interested in technology, all the famous YouTubers that you could think of, all the people who are really into the technical field, but not really connected to it in the technical aspect, they were really into it, and they all promoted and contributed to this crowdfunding. And when it was finally released, it could only do the minimum and the barest of things it advertised to. So just like basically ordering from DoorDash, basic translations, basic monitoring of your health, and that's it. So it was a very big disappointment in that field. So I think, as you suggested, OMI will also be somewhere along the similar lines, because people are really, really worried about the aspect where these technological wearables are intruding into their personal life and collecting all the data. So the major thing now would be, I mean, many technological wearables, they're gathering data, but there's no, like a marking stone for the people to believe that these data is not being given to others. So if there is any technological advancement which can make sure to the people that your data is safe, it's not going anywhere, that's when these wearable technologies will get a boom in their market field. So until then, it's going to be just like a short growth of, as you said, excitement and wonder about that project and the product, but then it'll be like a big scale down to just getting like minimum sales.
I think you have to recognize Apple worked on their smartphone project. What they figured out technologically is like if you can do an UI with your hands, and that was the big thing back then. They were using Palm Point. There was a what was it called?
Palm tops.
Palm tops with pens and stuff. That was the technology at the time, and they worked on it for close to about 8 to 10 years before they figured out you can actually do it through fingers, which is more intuitive and natural. And that was one big innovation that Apple contributed to, and they were very sure privacy of their customers was paramount. There was even if there was a case which became very famous. There was a known terrorist who used Apple devices, and Apple refused to, share their encryption with the government. That proved and reinforced this belief that Apple is a privacy-first company, which reinforces the brand loyalty across the world. And that's the only player which can do hardware. And we'll see how that goes. I mean, Apple also wanted to do cars, then they stopped that project, or the Apple car never came out. Maybe Tesla wants to do some sort of a device, and they went on it, and probably they didn't come through. So these are all hardware is hard. The hardware is not for small players. The way it is structured, the supply chain, the number of parts that you have to procure from various parts of the world, it's just not a place for small players unless you come up with some huge design altogether.
Uh,
I
one of
think the
the
only company that's doing well in terms of like uh, trying to enter two markets is Xiaomi. I don't know if you guys know this,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
really good at
Xiaomi.
it. I mean, they make phones. I used to use a Xiaomi phone for a long time, and now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just come out with a really good car, like a really good segment of cars that in the Chinese market it competes with Tesla, and in some sorts, it's better than a Tesla. I think that's one interesting thing that also I don't know why, but Chinese companies have like a bad reputation. Like when you see the car, it's really good, but since it has that Chinese mark, people tend to, shy away from all of that. Even
Yeah, I
though
think
it's better in
that
person.
also. I think that also got. I mean, China is great in production. They've figured out give us some plan and a blueprint. They will know how to organize their entire country around that product. And I think there are entire cities wherein the supply chain is geared towards ensuring that the parts are properly procured. So I think China is great at manufacturing. They've done this over 30, 40 years. And every year they keep getting better at reducing the average cost of any produced good. And people say, like, when you bring down the costs, doesn't it hurt the producers who do it? So what happens in terms of economics is, like, when you bring down the average cost of any good, the eventual consumer gets a surplus from having saved the money, and that's a real saving for the consumer. He uses that money for something else. So when you bring down the prices, it feels bad for employees who are working in that industry, but the eventual trajectory is to give surplus to the consumers. The surplus that is created by real savings as a result of lower cost of that product, and the consumer gets to use that money somewhere else. So I think China has figured that out. I don't know if there is any solution, because right now the Chinese cars which do come to US have like 150% tariff or something like that. So if a car costs $5,000, and if it has to land in US, it will probably cost like $15,000, $15,000. So which makes it unattractive, which is the whole point of the tariff. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
One point about this, like the wearable devices that I wanted to point out, like as a consumer of, like right now, I have too many accessories, right? I want to carry here and there when I go. So people tend to, as a consumer, they want a single universal device so that they don't have to carry multiple things when they are going out. So I think most of the time, why wearables or something, some accessories, hardware, they don't work out because they are working for a specific task, not like multiple tasks. So why mobile devices have been like working out since long time, because they can carry out multiple things that we want in our day-to-day life. So one point I just wanted to point out, although it's like the Omni that I like, after watching the video, it's working very good. The technology is very good. But as a consumer, I feel it's one another addition to our accessories that we are already carrying every day. Yep.
So I think what you're trying to say is what
Um,
currently this company is doing can literally be like an extended feature on Siri or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, if
Yeah.
they can work out with integration with the already accessories that we have, like either the smart watch or the mobile phone, then they can scale up good.
I think the only unique thing that this company has is BCI. Apart from that, everything that this device is doing, I guess Siri or OpenAI can do it.
Think of that BCI use case, right? How big the market is for BCI?
It's very niche. Right now, it's
It's a
very
very
niche.
small one, right?
Yeah.
It's like a medical care or something like that, or if you're working on schizophrenia or some medical use case like that, right? Unless that is the case, it's not a mass market product yet, and there's
Yeah.
no mass market value that's been communicated to a point wherein people feel like using this will make their life better. That value has not been communicated yet.
But
So
the use case for the Omni, like it was reminding things here and there, that I feel is very useful. But I don't want to carry one extra accessory. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's just can be a feature. You don't have to
Yeah.
wear a device for that. Also, BCI is really hard to do. I don't know how they're reading thoughts and all of that. There's a lot of variations in BCI. Like each person has a different strength of their EEG. I don't know how that works, but yeah. Okay. Anyways, moving on.